Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video, I'm going to take and show you how to do a simple pass-through. Now this is a very interesting thing that you can do, and you can elaborate on this a lot in your type of ironwork, maybe in sign brackets, shelf brackets, things like that. And it's a pretty cool effect if it's done properly. It really kind of makes general populace heads kind of turn, and it's just a nice another tool to your arsenal that you can use. So I'm working with a piece of 1/2 inch by 3/8 inch thick mild steel. This is cold rolled mild steel, so that's 1018, and that for you guys across the pond and around the rest of the world, that is 10 mil by 12 mil or 12.5 mil or so. You might as well say 13 mil over in your country. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. I have a mark already, a center punch mark, about 6 inches back from the end of the bar, and or you could call that 150 mil from the back end, from the front of the bar. And I'm going to use a very small slitting punch. This is what I call a 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch slitting punch, and I'm going to punch down directly through the center of the bar. Now, you may say, well, Roy, that is looking awful small. How do you reconcile that? And the way that I reconcile that is that the fact that we are going to drift this out. Now, this is a great way of doing this type of operation, again, and making it looking pretty darn neat. Now, before I get it fully drifted out, I am going to go ahead and upset some material right in this area as I try to drift. Once the drift's in there, to again kind of get a little more bulk into the material. So I'll get that back in the forge and get it heated up. Let me plug in the blower over here. So now the blower's up and running. Hopefully you guys can still hear me very clearly, and the microphone is doing okay. We're going to get this good and hot, and hopefully this won't take too many heats to take and do this. So the biggest trick to whenever you're doing something like a pass-through, in my opinion, now this is my opinion, this is a very artistic thing, so you can kind of go whichever way you like with it. My opinion of a good pass-through joint is when you can go through the bar, very close on size to the original parent bar material, and then come out the other side and do something different with it. It's not just simply enough to tuck something through and leave it at that. It looks better if it continues on to do something else. So whether it forms a hook, a leaf, a scroll, something, it's welded onto another bar that's doing something else. That's what makes this look so impressive. Without it, it just looks like you punched a hole and tucked it. You just kind of did a tuck, simple tuck. That's okay, and that can be decorative in of itself, but it generally, in my opinion, looks better if you can keep it close. Again, keep the opening of the hole, pass-through hole, as close to the original parent bar dimensions as you can as your piece goes through it. And once that is accomplished and you've accomplished that mission, as it goes through, doing something different to transform the material on the other side of the hole. That's what makes this look so effective. So I'm going to go ahead and get this pulled out here. Again, I'm going to leave the blower running because it's just easier to do that right now. Set this tong here and continue to punch straight down to the anvil face. We're going to flip it over, and we are going to hit from the backside now. And the reason why I'm using a slitting punch for this is it preserves as much material thickness as we possibly can. Because as you drift this, it's going to take and stretch the sides, which means it'll thin the sides out. And we clearly don't want that. So I'll take another heat on this, and then I'll stand it up here and upset this hole a little bit before I start drifting. Because right now it's at the stage that you can still drive material back into the sidewalls. Once the sidewalls get out past, say, a 45-degree angle here, once these bulge out too much and they're creating kind of like a 90-degree bend, hitting here is just going to collapse the hole. So again, we're going to work that back and forth. I'll get this heated back up. The reason for putting a little extra material thickness in this section, and of course if you had a torch or something, you could heat up this specific area and just upset it first before doing this. That's one option as well. But the point of taking and again adding that extra material on the sidewalls is when we start to drift it out to stretch it. So I will get this go ahead and get hot again, and while that's getting hot and I'm getting ready to punch through again on it, I'm going to take and tell you a little bit about the fact that I am sure glad you're here today. I hope that you're enjoying this video so far. If you're new to the channel, I'd like it if you check out the rest of the channel. There's over 1,100 videos on the platform right now that you can take and watch and enjoy. And I hope that you'll find it informative. And I thank you for your subscription or subscribing. All right. That's almost nearly hot. Nearly hot enough. I'll change up some of the airflow going to it so it don't burn. I'm going to look for my, and I don't see my drift here. I'll have to go get it. Give me 1 second. Got to step around. Sometimes I have it all put together when I do demonstrations, and other times I do not. It's easy to lose track of all the tools sometimes. All right. And I'm not finding it, which is never any good. Well, I've got one here. I've got one drift I can use here. We're just going to have to open it up a little bit more with the punch first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Again, this is about 1/4 inch right now, and it needs to be a lot bigger. It needs to be a lot more open before I can fit my punch in there, fit my bigger drift. There we go. Getting that opened up a bit. Whew. Now this bar is just short enough that you can't hold on to it by hand out on the other end, which is kind of annoying for this operation, but it's also just long enough that it's kind of awkward to hold with tongs. So hopefully you guys can see that progress there so far. So I'll heat that up again and we will drift it a little more. Again, if you want a little thicker sidewalls, it would be my suggestion that you upset the material first so you get a nice big hefty mass there to go through before you do this operation. I'm choosing a little thinner sidewalls to go around the piece to make it just a little more striking, if you will, where it looks like it kind of plunged through and stretched the piece out. But you do what you feel artistically inspired to do. Give it a try. You may not actually like this technique and decide to never do it again, and that's perfectly okay. There's no rights or wrongs on that. There's just kind of differences of opinions on what looks good and what doesn't. There's the drift I was looking for, although it's probably not needed now. There's always going to be different creative differences, if you will, of opinions, no matter what you do. So again, do whatever you would like to do or feel inspired to do. So again, we can upset this a little bit into that hole, and we need to take one more heat on this and continue to, I will upset it a little more and then we will drift it a little more. So you just want to kind of keep this going, and then we're going to take and make the actual pass through itself to take and go through the hole. Again, this is something that I feel anybody can do, and I'm always teaching and preaching to learn the fundamentals and the fundamental forging principles of a blacksmith. And a great way of doing that is just practicing. So you can watch a ton of YouTube videos, a ton of YouTube content. That's a great thing. But at the end of the day, you need to get out in your shop and you need to practice these fundamentals over and over and over again. What I'm doing right now is not magical. It is simply just fundamentals. I'm slitting and drifting a hole. That's it. Upsetting. That's another fundamental principle. Here in a minute, I'll be drawing out material. That is another fundamental principle of blacksmithing. So I'm not doing anything special here. There's no magic to it. It's just taking a sequence of processes and putting them together. So while that still heats up, I'm going to talk a little bit about the way the channel is going. So the channel is growing good. There's a lot of you new subscribers, and I greatly appreciate that. And I'd also like to thank everybody in our community for their always their support over at our website, blacksmithpdfs.com, and for sharing and liking these videos and commenting down below. I may not get to your comment, and I may not have that opportunity to do that because there is a lot of comments on this channel, but they are all read. So I may not reply to every comment, but every last one of your comments have been read. So I do pay close attention to what people are saying on the channel, how they're liking or not liking, and I take it all into consideration. And so I greatly appreciate everybody who leaves good comments, and even people who leave constructive criticism. I appreciate you all as well, and glad to have you as part of the channel. And that's it. We'll get that heated up one more time. So again, this is just working this back and forth like that, and I'm about to go to the drawing out process. I'm going to draw out this little end here in just 1 second. Trying not to make this video too long, but this is raw, this is real time, this is what you're dealing with here. You know, there's things in YouTube appear like they happen in just mere moments in time, when really it took a creator half a day to take and do something for a 4-minute video, and then he spent another 8 hours making, editing, uploading, dealing with problems on the back end just to bring you all content for the day. So get a chance, thank your favorite YouTube blacksmith, whether that be me or not. Show some love out there to whoever inspires you most to get out in your shop and get to work, and when they are putting in a lot of effort on the back side of things. So there we go, we got this pretty nice hole right through this bar stock. Now we're going to draw this material down a little bit, and we're going to tuck it through that hole. So get that in good and hot. I'm going to leave the opening that I just created out of the fire. You don't want that to get hot and start bending and collapsing. We have created a weak spot there, so you want to be careful about that. But get this good and hot, and we will draw this out. Here we go. Got the end nice and hot, a little too hot. We're just trying to draw this down to where it'll look like it'll go through the hole, which that hole is about 3/8 inch round. So we want to draw this down, this whole length, to where it's approximately 3/8 by 3/8 square. And when we turn it round, that should end us up with something along the lines of about 5/16. So 3/8 square will be about 10 mil. 5/16 will be about, I'm not sure in metric, I don't have the ruler in front of me just here. Actually, I do have a ruler. Let me look. Thank you. We don't know how to read it just yet, but let's see here. That's quarter. 5/16 could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. like 6, 7 mil, 5/16. I could be 100% wrong on that. Forgive me if I am. That is a bad, bad thing, Roy. Pay attention. Even a professional creates sparkies. We're gonna have to work all that crud out of it now. All right, so we're drawing that right back down, working back towards ourselves to roughly 3/8 square or 10 mil square. Five 5/16 is probably 9 mil, but 8.5, 9 mil, somewhere in there. So we'll go ahead and get that heated one more time. We're down to the dimension. We're down mostly to the dimension that we want. Now we're going to take and go ahead and round this up so it can tuck through the hole. Hopefully you're enjoying this. We'll take this heat out. By the way, this is the type of instruction and demonstrating that I really enjoy the most. I like doing live demonstrations of my work because I can talk through the process and explain things as I go. And I find that that's the best way to learn. I've been told many a times that I talk too much. And I'm just okay with that. We'll go to the horns so I can make that transition nice. Going into the eye. And less sharp. Knock off the corners. Alright, here we go. So we got this all nice and rounded up. Mostly, it could use a lot more work. You can get this as smooth as you like. But I'm not going to spend an hour demo of smoothing this all up. We'll see what we can do here. I'm going to round this just a little bit more. Is my goal. I'm going to round it up just a little bit more. And then we're going to bend it and tuck it right through that pass-through hole. Now I've found when we're doing this, you want to take and make a really nice smooth arc on a bend. You don't want to have any sharps, like you don't want to bend the tip fairly sharp and then bend it a little sharper somewhere else, because what will end up happening is that'll end up kinking the piece and it'll put pressure. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. If you bend a nice smooth hoop when you come around, you can tighten up that hoop once you're pushing the material through. You'll see how that works here in a moment. So, get this nice and hot. I reduced some of my airflow there. It was kind of adding up to things. Didn't like that at all. We'll go right through here. Getting hot. All right. We're just going to lightly tap this to round it up. Okay. Now you can go over the horn for this next part. Or you can just go way out here against the edge and drive that out, drive that material out, and create something that starts to look like this. Again, you don't want this to get too sharp. Now we need to heat back in here and get a good amount of heat in here, so this way this piece here will come all the way around. So we'll go ahead and put that back in the fire, get a good heat back closer to that end, and we'll be good to go. Let me roll you guys back a bit. I think you're in a little too close in my opinion. I'm going to use my handy dandy rag here to make sure I'm still in focus. Looks like we are. Good to go, good to go. Okay. Pull this out. Again, just putting that material over that edge and tapping it right back through. And now you can see why I started with 6 inches or 150 mil. Curves like this eat up a lot of material, because once that pass-through is through there, I won't even have close to maybe an inch internal dimensions here. So if you want a really big hoop like this, you're going to have to start with maybe 12 or 14 inches of material. So go ahead and stick that hoop back in there. Again, at all times, I'm trying to keep that eye out of the fire the best I can. And what I can't do with that eye, if I can't keep it out of the fire, what I'll use is I'll use a dribble can and I'll cool it over here in the slat tub just a little bit on the eye so the eye doesn't bend, but the parent bar material does. The dribble can I use for that looks like this. It's got a little T-spout on it, and that allows me to pour just out where I want to in spot. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to pour a little bit right here to just cool the eye out. Thing's kind of plugged up, haven't used it in a while. So as you work this, you want to start aiming that length right for that eye. So we're aiming it for it. And now we're going to tighten up our bar. We're going to keep driving until it tucks completely through. Just like so. So we're going to heat that up again. Get a little more heat on there. I'm putting the hoop down in the fire and I'm keeping the eye up out of the fire. So I'm hoping I can get this little pass-through done before the end of it here, and that this will be very helpful. So my camera films at about 27 minutes per clip or so, like what you see here, and I've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm hoping I can knock this out in that amount of time. We'll see where we're at. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Okay, we'll go over the whole horn. Sorry guys, not being able to see this. So I'm going to have to do a little straightening of that eye here in just a second. So we heat the whole thing up. But we're getting close. So what will happen is as you're going up on the thicker part of the taper, as it's filling up that hole, it's going to start bending the eye with it when it goes. And the reason for that being is obviously it's gripping and it's trying to push. Much in the same way as how you get sucked down when you punch or you drift a piece of material. So that's perfectly normal. You're just going to have to take and redo some things. Now, if you previously upset this piece where this area is going through, it's a lot less likely to happen and do that. So I'm going to do my best to get this straightened up. There we go. There you go. Keep tightening that right on up. And again, it's just all about working with your material and telling it what you want it to do. Okay, we're going to heat that up again, and now we got this pass-through. So we just passed through 3/8 square through a 1/2 inch by 3/8 piece. Again, this will really trip people up if once we put this final little bit done here. So I think right now at this point, instead of trying to rush it with this last little 3 minutes on this clip, I'm going to take it just a little bit further. I know this is a long demonstration, but it is a very technical process. So I hope you guys can understand that. It's going to be a little longer. I'm going to tighten this loop up here just a little bit, and then I'm going to clip out, and I'll come back with you with another clip, so this way I don't run out of time and it ends up not recording what I'm saying here. So here we go. That's nice and hot. Everything looks mostly lined up. I'm going to straighten that out. That looks pretty good. Okay, good to go. I'm going to straighten this puppy out a bit. That all actually looks pretty good. I'm going to leave it like it is there. Brush that. And there we have it. So I'm going to go ahead and put myself a little bit of a tapered point on this bar here. A little more taper than what I had going through it originally. And now I'm going to heat this up. I'll be right back with you, and we're going to bend this the opposite direction, and you'll see how this rest of this will come out. Okay, so I've got my Bic stuffed in the anvil there, and I'm going to go ahead and straighten this piece the opposite direction. Again, this hole's going to want to bend around on you. You just got to tell it who's boss to take and keep it straight. You want this piece here to run in line, and you want this piece here to bend, so you might have to take a couple heats on this to get this around properly. But we're not going to go all the way bending it back too, because here's where the trick's going to come in the transformation of line and this next heat. So let's go ahead and heat that, just that end back up. Get it good and hot. You need to watch this in your forge right now at this point in time, especially if you're using an electric blower. It's going to have a tendency to want to take and burn the tip. So be very careful of that. We're going to go ahead, this good and hot. Add some blower there. This is a long one today, guys. I really hope that you'll take and try this in your own shop, and you'll realize why it's so long. Again, a 27-minute demonstration of me doing this basically completely live. You know, this comes from 10 years of experience and practice. Again, I could be a lot better at this if I did them all the time. Maybe get it down to maybe a 5-10 minute process, but it's definitely not as easy as it looks. But I hope you guys are enjoying the demonstration, because I enjoy making these for you. We're almost up to heat. I apologize for the length of time here. I think we're hot enough that I can do the final little bit to it. So we're going to heat. This is good and hot. Grip it in my tongs. Okay. Now we're going to take and we're going to flatten out this piece. And we're going to aim more for the outside edge of this piece than the inside. We're going to try to take it up as close as we can to that end. It's starting to add. Again, we're changing the cross section, and people are like, geez, how do you get that through the hole? Now, again, you as a blacksmith, you've probably seen this before, or you've seen this in ironwork. You're like, oh yeah, well, you know, he just spreads the material after it's through the hole. But again, this is, it's kind of a joy to the eye when you find this in ironwork, because you can see that somebody took the extra time and care to try to produce something pretty neat in the piece, other than just leaving it basic or plain. So I'm going to draw that piece out just a bit more at the anvil here, that outer edge, get it looking nice. And as we draw out that outer edge a little bit, you're going to see the piece curl around more. I'm really just trying to put kind of a bit of a bevel scroll on it. It's coming around. Looking good. Get that hot one more time. And just so I don't have to go to the horn, I'm going to put the Bic back up on the anvil here, and I'm going to tap this on around a bit to give it a little more scrollage. This is the goal. Okay. Again, and now it's starting to touch. This is where I'm going to take and press it pass if I can, and clean this up. I'm going to try to get this to take and press pass a little bit and just cross over the top of the bar. Now this would be a real interesting thing to do on the end of a fireplace crane. Again, it's just adding that little extra bit of detail that maybe somebody wouldn't have otherwise thought about. It's giving some details here that people can really enjoy. So we're going to just tap this forward, and we're going to keep working the scrolly bit here on the end. The practice here is all in the reach, because it takes a lot of effort to make sure that the reach is right, if you will. Making sure that you can get in and hold the certain areas that don't need to move, and force the other areas that do need to move where they belong. Like here, we need to straighten out this hole a little bit. It's bending at the hole. So now we can heat up this whole scroll here, and we'll finish that off. And I'll let you guys get back to your day. If you're made it to this point in the video, say, hey guys, I made it. I greatly appreciate you. And you know, I thank you for watching this video. The watch time really does help when you guys watch a long video like this. It helps the channel grow so much. And Jessica and I couldn't be more thankful for that. And we just ask that you hopefully like the video and let us know. If you don't like long videos, I've got plenty of other videos as well that aren't so long. Again, they're just kind of, you know, I've got a whole mix of videos out there. We're a channel of over 1,000 videos, so that's pretty much bound to happen at some point. Okay, so I think I'll leave it at that. I think you guys kind of get the point. Make that little figure 8 on the end. It's just an interesting way. You can come up with any sort of kooky, concocted constructions of this. Different angles of working it, making different things out of it. But that's where I'm going to conclude this demonstration. It's good enough for one day. I can keep tapping around on this probably for a couple more hours yet. So, and turn it into something else kind of beautiful and ornate for the shop. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this incredibly long video. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support more great content like this, consider checking out our website over at blacksmithpds.com. So that's it for today. As always, God bless you, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.